You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Hollywood, 1939. Amid the glitz and the glitter of a bustling young movie town at the height of its golden age, the Hollywood Tower Hotel was a star in its own right, a beacon for the show business elite. Now, something is about to happen that will change all that. The time is now, on an evening very much like the one we have just witnessed. Tonight's story on the Twilight Zone is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard because in tonight's episode, you are the star. And this elevator travels directly to the Twilight Zone.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to day 9 of the Hello streaming. I know it's called Oktoberfest or whatever, but I decided to go with a little different approach. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the different Tower of Terrors. 3 in particular, because one's just a carbon copy of the other. So let's get into it, shall we? I'm also going to put up a picture instead of, let's see, hang on one second. So these particular, let's see, let me get my thoughts together real quick. As you hear me furiously typing. Okay. One second, everybody, one second. Just trying to find the right sized picture. There we go. Okay, let me just try something here. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about this particular Hollywood Tower Hotel. This one was, and I use that as a keyword here. This was in Disney California Adventure, but it's also available at Disneyland Paris. And I gotta say, the exterior of this particular of this ride looks probably one of the best of the bunch. Not to say that the other two I'll be looking at are bad. No. But this one was the one I grew up on. You can see here, well, my mouse isn't over, but if you look at the front of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, it looks okay. It looks like it's still being updated. But if you look in the back, like where the tower part actually is, something obviously went wrong, and it just looks like crap now. As you saw in that opening video, and I'm going to play some ambience music in the background, lightning struck that tower on Halloween of 1939, which is a little bit crazy. But then again, it is Halloween. And now this is a pivotal point. This is like an unofficial episode of the actual Twilight Zone, which I actually think is kind of cool. But anywho, this one is very special for a lot of people in California. It opened in 2004 and enjoyed a ton of success. But then this one guy named Jim, who has this giant ball hanging off his ear, decided, no one's going to care if we get rid of the Tower of Terror, and thus created the absolute shitstorm that is Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. I know I probably ticked off a few of my Marvel fans by saying that, but I stand by the fact that the Tower of Terror is leagues, and I mean leagues, better than what this is. Let me get that Tower of Terror music going. I'll try to play it as loud as I can. At the same time, try not to, let's see. I'll probably keep it off to one side. Let me just turn up a little bit here. So this one this one lasted for 13 years in California, which I think is an outright travesty because, Guardians of the Galaxy decided to come in and kick it out, and I'm just like, why? Apparently it's because Marvel is taking over this area, and it's just like, why? It's so stupid. I don't want to get into a huge rant about why Guardians of the Galaxy can suck ass moisture. Because Tower of Terror, I think, was the best. It was the equivalent of the Haunted Mansion over in Disneyland. This was the California Adventure equivalent. And then they decide, oh, no one cares about it. Many, many people cared about Tower of Terror. Now we have to go to Florida to get a similar experience, and I just think that is complete BS. The other one that's a carbon copy, essentially, is Disneyland Paris's Tower of Terror. It looks literally the same inside and out. The main difference, obviously, is instead of instead of an English narration, it's French narration. And, French sounds pretty good when it's evil and spooky and all that stuff. But yeah, this one I sorely miss, and I hope at some point after this coronavirus thing is done and over with, I hope Disney remakes the Tower of Terror, because I don't want to have to fly across the country just to go on one ride. Granted, it's going to be a fun ride, but at the same time, I miss it, and you will never get me on Guardians of the Galaxy. A couple of my college friends did, and I just had this scowl on my face. I just looked like I was about ready to just jump out of that car thing in Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, because it's a piece of shit. You will not get me to change my mind. Tower of Terror is better. But let's move on from this one. Well, I'll explain it also. So all of these Tower of Terrors, except Japan, which I'll get into in a little bit, all have the same idea. 5 different Hollywood stars step into the main elevator, and lightning strikes. No one knows why, and they plummet into the Twilight Zone. And since 1939 to 2004, if you want to go by the California one, it was closed. It was abandoned. It was left to rot, essentially. For some reason, they couldn't get rid of the Hollywood Tower Hotel. I don't know why, but okay then. Maybe I should change it. Just turn up all the way, actually. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but whatever. And thank you. I'm glad someone can understand that Tower of Terror is so much better than Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. I mean, I'm not going to make people say, oh, I'm going to change my opinion on it. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, good for you. It's just for Twilight Zone fans, Guardians of the Galaxy is a piece of shit. That's all I got to say. But back to the story. In 2004, the Hollywood Tower Hotel reopens. And, they're ushering guests in to check in and, stay at a hotel room. But there's a good chance you might not be able to check out. So the ride experiences in California and Paris is pretty much identical. There's a library you walk into, and that opening I showed to start off this particular live stream, the library actually has that little TV moment, and they used, I think it was It's a Good Life, not to be confused with It's a Wonderful Life, which is a great Christmas movie. It's a Good Life is a Twilight Zone episode, I think from season 4. And they reused Rod Serling, who was revoiced by I can't think of the name of the one, but it was a voice dub, essentially, like someone that can sound like him. Then you have to leave the library and you go into the boiler room, which is a little bit creepy on its own because of the weird ambience noises. And I remember seeing, even before Tower of Terror was closed. There was a boiler that said caution, man in boiler. And I didn't know if the boiler was inoperable and someone was working in it, or if it was operable and someone was being boiled alive. Eventually you get in the elevator, and then you get to experience firsthand what happened to the guests, but through the maintenance service elevator. I won't spoil too much. I would look up a ride footage of Hollywood Tower Hotel in Disney California Adventure, and it's a ton of fun. The once you're able to get off the elevator, if you did, you're gonna walk into this back room area, and all you hear is this creepy air ambience, like this weird whistling or whatever. And then you come into the gift shop, and then there's a famous line that Rod Serling said, "Picture if you will." That's what he would sometimes say in his opening dialogues. The one in Disneyland Paris is essentially the same as the one in California. Obviously, it's dubbed in French. The thing I like, though, about the Tower of Terror is the seasons. Because if you look at this photo here, this looks like it might be in the fall, or it's like starting to be in the fall, because the trees in front are starting to become bare. And what's really cool is in the spring and summer, in the queue line, there was always this big viney overgrowth covering up the line to the lobby of the hotel. In the spring and summer, it's covered with leaves, like really bright green leaves. But then in the fall and the winter, it's like this bare, ugly-looking vine or whatever, and it makes it look all the more sinister. You know, it looks so cool. But then, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy came in, and booted it out and pissed a lot of people off. But I will say, California had a great run of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and I'm really hoping at some point in the future they will bring it back, because if they don't, then it's just going to be I'm going to stop screen sharing now, because I'm going to show you the next Tower of Terror. Let's see here. I'm just going to go back. Let's see. So you can obviously tell by the way I was talking that I miss the Hollywood Tower Hotel out here in California, because I have to go either to Florida or Paris or even Japan to get a similar experience, which is so annoying. Not to say the other ones are bad. I'm not saying that at all. It's just I wish that the one out here lasted up until this point, because it is just so aggravating that it's not here anymore. I wish it was, but can't change it now. It's just like, okay, I found the Florida one, and man, is it creepy. But it looks so cool at the exact same time. You'll see what I mean here in a second. Let me just bring up StreamYard. Alright, share screen. There it is. Now tell me that doesn't look spooky. I'd make the picture a little bigger, but let me see if I can actually make it bigger. No, that's not going to work. I'll try doing this. No, that doesn't work either. But you get the idea that this actually looks friggin' creepy as all, you know. You can't tell me that this one here that you're looking at is scary. I mean, the one in California had its spooky look, but this and the Haunted Mansion in Walt Disney World, those just look, holy cow. Now this one's a little bit unique because somehow, I don't know how. Oh wait, I think I do. And I know apparently Lucian in the comments also mentioned, might know about this. The Florida one kind of works in the same way as the California version, at least in the pre-show. Now, the way that this one works, and it's just confused the heck out of me, is you start off in the elevator, right? And you kind of go through the same motions, but then there's one part where you're going forward in an elevator. And it reminds me a little bit of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or whatever, where like the elevator goes all kinds of directions. And It's crazy about how that elevator works. And I've looked it up and I'm still scratching my head. But this one just had more to work with, and it took advantage of like the whole Twilight Zone thing because elevators don't move forward. This one as well aesthetically, like I mentioned, is I've said it already. You can't tell me that this looks flipping creepy. It just looks like it's been abandoned for who knows how long. And I think this is the one that actually was the inspiration for the 1998 movie about the Tower of Terror. And it has like a weird. I'm gonna spoil it for you. The Tower of Terror movie came out in 1998, so this is I think before any of the Tower of Terrors came into play. But let me just double check for you. And for the audio that people are hearing, this is the Tower of Terror soundtrack cue music, or the Quay, or whatever, however you pronounce it. It's by a YouTuber named Pavlos F. He published this a while ago. So I'm just giving that person credit, saying that that's their that they uploaded the music. I'm just using it for this live stream for entertainment purposes only. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still mad about what happened in California. You cannot change my mind. I will stand my I'm gonna make sure people know that I am not a fan of what happened to the one in California. I'm just getting that out here. If I have to say it a bunch of times, I will. Okay, I was off by one year. The Tower of Terror movie came out in 1997. It has no connection to any incarnation of the Twilight Zone show. And yeah, they used the Orlando attraction for the film, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's based off the Orlando one. So the Orlando one was around when the movie came out in 1997. But let me just double check when they showed up. Yeah, I'm not happy about the California one. Let's see. But yeah, that one's been around for a while. The one in Florida, but it just has that creepy factor to it. But yeah, the movie basically says that the little girl that fell in the elevator with the other 4 Hollywood stars, had a sister, and the sister was very upset with the young child star's stardom, so plunged her into the Twilight Zone. And spoiler, at the end of the movie, they reconcile, then turn into gold dust. Cue the Thomas and the Magic Railroad memes or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much how the movie ends, which is a little silly. But the Florida one's got some real. It amps up the creep factor both on the outside and the inside. The next one I'm going to show has different music, so I'm going to turn that off for the time being. The next one and the last one I'm going to be talking about is the one in Japan. The one in Japan actually has a unique advertisement that I'm actually going to show off for you people. Give me a second. Here we go. All right. Again, this is owned by Disney. I'm just saying. I'm basically verbally telling the disclaimer. Any video that I use or any audio that I use, it goes to their respective owners. So I'm not going. I'm only using it for entertainment purposes only. Now this here is the one in Tokyo Disney Sea. This is their rendition of the Hollywood Tower Hotel. And I'll explain why this one has a completely different story than everyone else's. So for about a minute, just sit back and enjoy. And hopefully you won't fall into the Twilight Zone.
ニューアトラクション Tower of Terror 東京ディズニーシー
Sorry about the little things that popped up every here and there. Again, it's owned by Disney, and I don't want to, it's all for entertainment purposes. So I couldn't control the little Mickey Mouse bit or that little video bit that popped up at the end there. But that was the Tokyo version of Tower of Terror. Now you're probably wondering, why is there a guy that looks like Doc Brown in that ad, and what's up with that weird thing he was holding? Well, there's actually a reason behind that, and it takes place in a completely different time zone, timeline too, if you noticed. Like all the Hollywood Tower hotels. Let's see, is this it here? Yes, this is it. I'm gonna play this in the background. I know it sounds dark and brooding, but whatever. So, I'll tell this for if and when you guys come out, and it works a little like the one in California in terms of how the drop sequences and all that are. So it's in New York City, and it takes place on New Year's Eve of 1899. And Harrison Hightower III is throwing a big party, and he's holding a little African idol by the name of Shiriki Utundu. I'm not making that up. That's how it is in the story. And he got this when he got back from an expedition from Africa. As a side note, he's part of this Society of Explorers and Adventurers, or SEA, which lumps him in with Lord Henry Mystic, who owns Mystic Manor. Thought I'd mention that. But Harrison Hightower III has Shiriki Utundu, and a reporter says, "Do you know about the curse of Shiriki?" And he just laughs it off and is like, "You want to know about a curse? Here," and jams his lit cigar into the forehead of Shiriki. I think he goes up to his office on the 12th floor or something, and then Shiriki actually comes to life and sends Harrison Hightower III into the Japanese version of the Twilight Zone. Now, the thing with the Japanese, and if I have any Japanese viewers watching or will watch when this is over, from what I remember gathering is the Japanese aren't well versed with the Twilight Zone. Like, they've heard about it, but they've never really seen it. It's a little bit obscure for them. So the Imagineers had to rewrite the whole story for the Japanese audience. And it's actually a really good idea, because it's as if the Haunted Mansion in Indiana Jones ever had a ride, Harrison Hightower III is basically he's an archaeologist, but he gets the artifacts in the most illogical, illegal, and kind of scummy ways. Like, he'll steal it from underneath a tribe's nose or something. And by the way, the music you're hearing is from the exit when you leave the attraction, and it's from Scary Catfish. Yeah, that's the YouTube name. Just putting that out there. But yeah, the Tokyo version's completely different, and it's probably also fitted to be earthquake-proof, because, Tokyo. But what would I say is my favorite of the bunch? Well, I went on the one in California a whole bunch of times. The one in Florida honestly looks like a truly unique experience. The one in Paris just seems to be a beat for beat of the one in California, so I probably won't go on that. And for uniqueness, I would definitely go on the one in Tokyo. But yeah, getting back to the Tokyo bit. The story takes place New Year's Eve in 1899, like before the turn of the century. But what's funny about that is all the other Hollywood towers, it's all on Halloween of 1939. What else is there? What's really cool about the one in Tokyo is when someone's about to drop in the elevator shaft, there's this big green flash of light from this big stained glass window on the top floor, which I think is really cool. And another thing that I have been looking so much for, and I probably can only find it via the Wayback Machine, is there was a website dedicated to a tour of the Tokyo Disneyland Tower of Terror. It was a virtual, interactive tour you could go through, and Shariki would even spot you from time to time. I have been looking for that website for a while because I remember going on that when I was, I think, 12, when I had my Mac Mini, before my Mac Mini decided to implode on itself. But yeah, I remember that so well. It was like Tower of Terror in 1899 English.japan.com or something. But in summation, each of these rides, except for the one in California, are amazing. Florida, it's all about the spookiness. France, if you want a French rendition of the ride, that's a good one. If you're up for uniqueness, go to Tokyo. Just don't come to California because California made that one stupid move, and some people are still mad about that. I've kind of gotten over it, but still, I will say that Tower of Terror is better than Guardians of the Galaxy. You cannot and will not change my mind on that. But that's all I got for this particular live stream. If anything, I might go to the one in Florida first, and then the one in Japan. Tell you how do a live stream right after. Tell you how much I like it. Tomorrow, though, I'm going to be talking about something I've wanted to talk for a while, and I know a certain someone is going to enjoy this. Well, quite a few people are. And I'm going to be talking about why, actually, I'm going to surprise you as to what I'm going to be talking about. Just give me a minute to find it. Give me 1 second here, people. All right. So, what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow. You guys ready? I know there's only two of you. So, I'm going to be talking about this particular, what I call it, cartoon. Well, here we go.
All right, Joey. I'm here. Let's see if we can find what you wanted me to see.
There's nothing wrong with dreaming. Wishing for the impossible is just human nature.
So first, Joey installs this ink machine over our heads.
At this point, I don't get what Joey's plan is for this company. The animation sure aren't being finished on time anymore.
Mr. Drew, you are the true architect behind so many nightmares.
Everything feels like it's coming apart.
When do we go home?
Wow. I don't remember any of this.
Have you met him? The Ink Demon. They say he hears everything.
Get another warning. You'll be waiting. Or in the morning, you'll be dead.
There's a whole twisted world out here.
So, yeah, I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. And I'm going to be comparing it to another game. And yeah, that clip there was owned by Joey Drew Studios. Yes, I know about that studio. Once again, just for entertainment purposes only. But yeah. Let's see. What was I going to compare it to? Oh, yeah. I'm going to be comparing it to this one. Well, they're all pretty long. I might as well say it. I am going to be comparing it to the video game Outlast. And why? Because I think Bendy and the Ink Machine is so much better than Outlast, but there's a particular mechanic that just, how do I word it? It's so much better. Bendy and the Ink Machine is better than Outlast and some other horror games because of a certain mechanic. I'm not going to spoil what it is. You'll just have to wait until probably 3:30 Pacific time to find out what that something is. Anyway, I am NG5. I'm checking out of the Hollywood Tower Hotel, but I might check back into it later. Until then, hopefully I'll have some guests with me tomorrow about why Bendy and the Ink Machine is better than Outlast. Till then, see you then.